Good day. I'm Aminin Castro from the Philippine Competition Commission or PCC. Our Mergers and Acquisitions Office, we call it the MAO, is responsible for reviewing mergers and acquisitions that are either officially notified to us or those we decide to review on our own. The MAO works together with the Economics Office, or the EO of the PCC. In our first set of online training modules, we explained how to request a pre-notification consultation or PNC, how to file a notification form, and how to check if that form has all the required information. If you missed those videos, you can still watch them. The links are shown below. In this video, we'll talk about how the PCC reviews mergers and acquisitions. In understanding why we conduct merger review, we'll also introduce the concept of likelihood of substantially preventing, restricting, or lessening competition in the market, also known as SLC. Now that we know what this video will cover, let's start by making sure we all understand some key terms: merger, acquisition, and joint venture. A merger happens when two or more organizations combine to become one. This can occur by one company joining an existing company, with the other dissolving, or by creating an entirely new entity. Mergers can also include joint ventures, whether or not they are officially registered as a new company. An acquisition happens when one company buys another company's shares, assets, or both, through a contract or other legal method, with the result that buying company gains control over the acquired company or assets. In other words, the acquiring company gains the power to direct how the acquired company is run or how the acquired assets are used. Control can be gained when one company takes over all or part of another company, two or more companies take over another company together, or one or more companies take over one or more other companies. Other methods of acquisition can include taking over a company through a subsidiary or an affiliate of the acquiring company. A joint venture is when two or more organizations agree to work together on a specific business or project. They each provide something, like money, assets, or services, and they share in the decision-making, as well as the profits, risks, and losses. In this module, we may also use the term transaction to mean a merger, acquisition, or joint venture. Before we move on, it is also helpful to know that mergers generally fall into two broad types. Horizontal mergers happen when the companies merging are direct competitors in the market. Non-horizontal mergers happen when companies merging are active in different parts of the supply chain or in completely different industries. We will explore both types in detail later in the module. Now that we've defined mergers, acquisitions, and joint ventures, let's talk about why some deals are reviewed more closely than others. Mergers and acquisitions, or M&As, are a common part of business. Some mergers can help struggling companies survive, create strategic partnerships that lower costs, improve efficiency, or even drive innovation through the development of new products and services. However, not all mergers are beneficial. Some can reduce competition, limit consumer choices, or even lead to higher prices. Hence, it is important that PCC review mergers to protect the market and the public. A merger can cause problems if it gives the merged company more power to control the market, either on its own or by teaming up with competitors. Anti-competitive mergers between competitors can harm consumers and markets in two main ways, based on what we call theories of harm. First is unilateral effects. When the merged company gains enough market power due to the loss of competitive constraint previously exerted by a competitor, it may raise the prices of its goods or services. The merger may also reduce the merged company's incentive to improve the quality of its products or services. Second, coordinated effects. The merger may create a business environment that makes it easier for remaining competitors to collude. For example, by coordinating to fix prices, limit supply, or slow down innovation. These harmful actions can lead to higher prices, poorer quality, fewer new ideas, and less choice for consumers. This is what the PCC does when it reviews mergers. It checks if the transaction will likely cause substantial lessening of competition, or SLC. If the PCC believes that a merger is likely to cause SLC, we can prohibit the deal or allow it with conditions that protect competition. The goal of merger review is simple: to keep competition fair, so that consumers enjoy better prices, better quality, and more choices. The PCC's power to review mergers is provided under one key law, the Philippine Competition Act, or the PCA. The PCA's goal is to keep markets competitive so that consumers benefit from fair prices, high-quality products and services, more choices, and sustained innovation. When we review a merger, we look at how it might affect competition in the relevant markets, both immediately and over time. SLC arises when a merger reduces the competitive pressure on companies to keep prices low, improve quality, be efficient, or introduce new products. Acquisitions and mergers that are likely to result to SLC may harm consumers, which is why the PCA prohibits them. This ensures that competition remains fair and consumers continue to benefit. Now that we've covered the key concepts of merger review and why it's conducted, let's move on to how the PCC defines the relevant market for a specific transaction. Defining the relevant market is the first step in the substantive assessment of any merger. Market definition helps us understand the scope of competition that a merger could affect. We look at where competition happens and between whom, both in terms of products or services involved, and the geographic areas they cover, as will be discussed later. Market definition is the process of determining the relevant product and geographic markets to understand where and between whom the competition takes place in the context of a merger. The relevant market has two aspects: the relevant product market and the relevant geographic market. The relevant product market includes all goods or services that consumers see as interchangeable or substitutable. This is based on their features, prices, and intended use. For example, if we're reviewing a merger between two soft drink companies, we would ask, can consumers simply switch to other drinks, like water, tea, or coffee, if soda prices go up? One way to figure out if goods or services are substitutes is through the hypothetical monopolist test, also known as the SNP test, short for small but significant and non-transitory increase in price. In simple terms, we imagine a single seller controls the product. If they raise prices by 5 to 10%, would enough customers switch to other products to make that price hike unprofitable? If the answer is yes, it means our market definition is too narrow. We need to include those substitutes, or those products consumers switch to, in the relevant product market. Meanwhile, The relevant geographic market is the area where companies sell their products and where customers can find alternative suppliers. For example, if two companies in Luzon plan to merge, we would ask, can customers in Luzon easily buy from suppliers in Visayas or Mindanao if prices in Luzon go up? To answer that, we look at factors like transportation costs, delivery times, and other factors that affect customers' preferences. Now that we've discussed the product and geographic dimensions separately, let's see how they work together in a real example. Imagine Company A and Company B. Both produce premium chocolate in Metro Manila. To define the product market, we would ask, if the price of premium chocolate went up, would customers switch to regular chocolate or imported chocolates? If yes, those products might be part of the same product market. For the geographic market, we would ask, can customers only buy chocolates sold in Metro Manila? Or can they easily get them from nearby provinces? If transportation costs or delivery issues make it hard to buy from other areas, then Metro Manila might be the relevant geographic market. As we saw in the chocolate example, clearly defining the relevant market is essential before moving further in the review process. Defining the relevant market is the first and most important step in a merger review because it sets the boundaries for analyzing the competitive effects of a transaction. This definition ensures the analysis is focused and accurate, helping us decide whether a merger may substantially lessen competition in an identified relevant market. Once the relevant market is defined, we can calculate market shares and concentration levels, which is what we will discuss next. In merger review, we focus on two primary measures that inform the analysis of market structures: market shares and market concentration. These measures help assess market structure, the level of concentration and competition, and the relative proportion held by companies in the relevant market. In the previous section on market definition, we learned that identifying the relevant product and geographic markets allows us to see which companies offer products or services that can substitute for each other. All these companies that compete with each other in providing substitutable goods and services make up the relevant market. Once the market is defined, we can calculate market shares. A firm's market share is the percentage of total sales or other applicable metrics in the relevant market that it controls. Market shares help us see the competitive significance of each firm in the relevant market. They show a company's position relative to its competitors and can indicate whether a firm is dominant or operating in a more competitive environment. For example, imagine the smartphone market in 2025. Company A sells 10 million phones, Company B sells 5 million, and Company C sells 2 million. The total market size is 20 million phones. This means that Company A has 50% market share, Company B has 25% market share, Company C has 10% market share, and the remaining 15% is split among smaller companies. Alternatively, revenue or a similar measure may also be used to measure the market shares, apart from total goods produced or sold. Beyond sales, measurements may be based on units or monetary values, production, supply, and number of customers, as may be appropriate. Now that we understand market shares, let's look at a related concept: market concentration. Market concentration tells us how much of the total relevant market is controlled by just a few companies. In a highly concentrated market, a small number of companies hold most of the market. In a less concentrated market, many smaller companies share it more evenly. One common way to measure market concentration is through the Herfindahl-Hirschman Index, or HHI. The Herfindahl-Hirschman Index, or HHI, is a good indicator of market concentration. To calculate it, we square the market share of each company in the market, then add the results together. The HHI is also referred to as the sum of the squares. An HHI close to zero means the market is very competitive with many small players. An HHI close to 10,000 means the market is dominated by one or just a few companies, like in a monopoly or oligopoly. In a merger review, we calculate the HHI before and after the transaction. Comparing these numbers helps us see if the merger could significantly increase market concentration and possibly harm competition. So, what does all this mean for businesses, consumers, and the economy? A high level of market concentration can have both benefits and drawbacks. On the positive side, companies with larger market shares may be able to invest more in innovation, lower prices through economies of scale, and build more stable supply chains. On the negative side, high concentration may reduce competition, leading to higher prices, fewer consumer choices, and less innovation over time. In highly concentrated markets, dominant companies may also engage in anti-competitive practices, like price fixing, or creating barriers that make it harder for smaller companies to enter the market. In summary, understanding market shares and market concentration is essential for analyzing how competitive an industry is and how it is organized. Market shares show how companies compare in terms of sales or in other measures like output, capacity, or number of customers. Market concentration reveals how much power is held by just a few companies. In the previous section, we learned how to define the relevant market and how to measure the competitive significance of companies by looking at market shares and market concentration. Now, we will move on to competitive effects analysis, a framework we use to assess whether a merger transaction is likely to result in substantial lessening of competition, or SLC, in the relevant market. Once the relevant market is defined and its competitive structure is analyzed, the next step is to determine whether the merger will significantly harm competition. Competitive effects analysis takes a close look at the market conditions. It compares how competition would look with a merger versus without it. We look at the likely future state of competition and assess whether the merger would reduce competition enough to harm consumers or slow down innovation. To recall, this happens when two or more companies at the same level of the supply chain, such as direct competitors in the same market, merge into one. Horizontal mergers can lead to two types of harm: unilateral effects and coordinated effects. Let's go through this one at a time. Unilateral effects happen when, after a merger, the merged company can act without worrying much about its competitors. After the transaction, the merged company may have both the ability and incentive to raise prices or reduce output, because the direct competition between the two merging companies is gone. For example, if two close competitors merge, there's less pressure to keep prices low or to maintain high product quality as a result of lesser choices for customers in the relevant market. Another possible harm from a horizontal merger is coordinated effects. This happens when companies in a market find it easier to coordinate their actions after a merger. Coordination doesn't always require direct communication. It can also happen implicitly through mutual understanding, such as setting similar prices, limiting production, or dividing the market into territories without need of a formal agreement. In markets with only a few companies, it's much easier for them to coordinate their behavior. The PCC looks at several factors to assess the likelihood of coordination, such as how many companies are in the market, how similar the products are or homogeneity, whether companies have similar costs or other traits that make coordination easier, how transparent the market is if companies can easily see each other's actions. For example, if there are only a few companies in a market, it's easier for them to figure out ways to raise prices or reduce output. But the PCC doesn't just assume this. It looks at whether companies have both the incentive and ability to coordinate. The PCC also considers the presence of maverick firms, companies that refuse to cooperate with others. Mavericks may keep prices low, disrupt coordination, or bring in innovations that make coordination harder. If a maverick merges with a competitor, it can make coordination easier for the remaining companies in the market. After examining possible harms such as unilateral and coordinated effects, the PCC assesses countervailing factors, market conditions that can limit or prevent the merged entities from affecting the identified harms. These factors can prevent a merged company from exercising market power, even if there are fewer competitors after the merger. For example, alternative suppliers might still be available to keep prices competitive. New companies could have the chance to enter the market. Large customers with strong bargaining power could push back against price increases or unfair practices by the merged firm. The PCC assesses whether these constraints are strong enough to stop the merged firm from using its market power on its own or from coordinating with other competitors. The PCC's role is to make sure mergers don't harm competition in ways that could hurt consumers. To do this, they review both unilateral and coordinated effects and consider factors like how many competitors remain in the market, how easy it is for new companies to enter, and whether customers can push back against market power. In the end, it's all about protecting fair competition, so consumers continue to enjoy better prices, higher quality, more choices, and ongoing innovation. Another factor we look at is market entry and expansion, whether new companies can enter the market or existing competitors can grow. This helps us assess if a merger is likely to significantly harm competition. When checking if market entry or expansion could limit the power of a merged company, the PCC looks at three things. Is it likely, timely, and sufficient in scale and scope? For entry or expansion to be likely, it should make business sense for other companies to grow or for new players to join the market, especially if the merged company tries to raise prices or reduce competition. For example, after a merger, if prices go up, that could attract new competitors or push existing ones to expand. To assess likelihood, the PCC looks at evidence such as which companies have recently entered or exited the market, past and expected market growth, announced plans for entry or expansion, the costs, risk, and benefits of entering the market, information from companies identified as potential entrants, barriers to entry or expansion, considering the economies of scope and/or scale, availability of essential input, reputation of incumbent competitors, and investments in excessive capacity, contracts, government regulations, sunk costs, and the like. For entry or expansion to be timely, it must happen within a reasonable period after the merger, usually within 3 to 5 years, so it can have a meaningful competitive impact. Lastly, for entry or expansion to be sufficient, it must, first, be large enough in scale to compete effectively with the merged company. Second, counteract any specific anti-competitive effects caused by the merger. And third, address any localized effects of the merger. Alternative suppliers through entry and expansion can be a strong check on a merged company's behavior. If a merged company faces significant pressure from the possibility of new entrants, the merger is less likely to cause serious harm to competition. Moving on, let's look at an important topic in competition law: defenses in merger control. While some mergers may raise concerns about reduced competition, there are cases where a merger can still be allowed. This can happen if the merger brings efficiencies that benefit the market, or if the acquired company is a failing firm that would otherwise leave the market. In such situations, and only if certain conditions are met, mergers or acquisitions that raise competition concerns may be exempt from prohibition. Under the Philippine Competition Act, the PCC may approve mergers that normally raise competition concerns. If the companies involved can prove that the merger will create significant efficiencies that outweigh any negative effects on competition. According to the PCA and its implementing rules, mergers can be exempt from prohibition if these efficiencies are greater than the harm to competition. Efficiencies can mean lower prices, better product quality, improved services, or even new products. Benefits that make the merged company more competitive and that directly help consumers. However, proving efficiencies is not easy. Many projected benefits never actually happen. That's why the law requires companies to provide clear and convincing evidence that the merger will deliver real gains for consumers and the market. The notifying parties must give detailed proof showing how and when efficiencies will be achieved, how this will benefit consumers, and why these efficiencies are specific to the merger and cannot be achieved in less harmful ways. Merger-specific efficiencies are benefits that wouldn't happen without the merger. If the same results can be achieved through other means that are less harmful to competition, the merger will not be exempt. The greater the harm a merger could cause to competition, the greater the efficiencies must be to outweigh that harm. And importantly, these efficiencies must benefit consumers. Otherwise, the merger may still be prohibited. In short, reviewing efficiencies is a balancing act, making sure the economic benefits of a merger are real, substantial, and outweigh any harm to competition. What if a company is on the verge of going out of business? The PCA takes this into account through what's called the failing firm defense. In some cases, allowing a failing firm to merge can be the best option to prevent its assets from leaving the market completely. Under the PCA, the PCC may approve a merger that would otherwise raise competition concerns if one of the parties is failing financially, but only if strict requirements are met. The main idea is that if the company's assets are going to leave the market anyway, the merger might be the least harmful option. In such cases, competition may be no worse than if the firm simply shut down. However, proving that a firm is truly failing is not easy. The notifying parties must present solid evidence that failure is imminent. The business cannot be reorganized. There are no less anti-competitive alternatives. The firm and its assets would exit the market without the merger. This requires detailed financial documents, like profit and loss statements, cash flow reports, and balance sheets. plus proof of limited resources and inability to generate revenue. The PCC also checks if the failing company has tried to find other acquisition offers. If there are credible offers that would keep the assets in the market with less harm to competition, they must be considered, even if they are not the most profitable for the failing company. Another option the PCC may consider is liquidation, selling the firm's assets to different buyers. If this would create multiple competitors instead of one merged company, it might be a better choice. In summary, the failing firm defense can allow an otherwise anti-competitive merger, but only when the firm is truly failing and there are no better alternatives for preserving competition. Is there anything the PCC can do aside from prohibiting a merger that's likely to cause a substantial lessening of competition, or SLC? Yes. There are remedies the PCC can use to address anti-competitive concerns. When the PCC finds that a merger could harm competition, it can either prohibit the merger or approve it with conditions. These conditions usually require the merging companies to change the merger agreement or enter into legally binding commitments to fix the competition problem. There are two types of remedies: structural remedies and behavioral remedies. Let's look at each. Structural remedies change the market structure itself to solve competition issues. Common examples include divestiture, selling all or part of a company's business unit or assets; licensing, giving competitors the right to use certain intellectual property; rescission, undoing a completed transaction; dissolution, ending a legal entity involved in the merger. Behavioral remedies focus on changing how the merged company acts to prevent anti-competitive conduct. Examples include non-discriminatory behavior, equal terms and prices for all competitors, information sharing restrictions, no exchange of sensitive data with rivals, fair access mandates, providing access to essential facilities or networks at fair terms, limits on tying or bundling, no forcing combined product sales to disadvantage competitors, price controls, setting caps to prevent excessive charges, monitoring, regular reporting to ensure compliance. Sometimes, structural and behavioral remedies are combined. For example, after selling part of the business, the merged company might be prohibited from contacting the divested unit's customers to ensure the new competitors stay effective. When deciding which remedy to use, the PCC considers how effective and practical it will be in protecting competition. The goal is always the same: keep competition healthy so consumers continue to enjoy fair prices, good quality, and more choices. So far, we've looked at horizontal mergers and how they can result in unilateral and coordinated effects. But there are also non-horizontal mergers: vertical, diagonal, and conglomerate. Each has its own competitive effects, which we will now explore. To understand non-horizontal mergers, we first need to look at the markets where the merging companies operate. Unlike horizontal mergers, which involve direct competitors, non-horizontal mergers involve companies that do not compete in the same market. For example, imagine a smartphone manufacturer. If it merges with another smartphone manufacturer, that's a horizontal merger because they compete directly. But if a smartphone manufacturer merges with a company that makes the chips inside the phones, that's a non-horizontal merger. Non-horizontal mergers come into two main types: Vertical mergers, which include diagonal mergers between companies in the same supply chain, like our chip and phone example, and conglomerate mergers between companies in completely different industries. When analyzing mergers, whether horizontal or non-horizontal, we start by identifying the distinct markets where each company operates. This is done through relevant market definition. Defining relevant markets is more than just looking at products or services. We also need to see how markets are connected and how they influence each other. Sometimes, new technologies or innovations can create connections between markets that weren't linked before. In non-horizontal mergers, market definition takes a multidimensional approach. First, we define the relevant markets for each party, looking at product characteristics and geographic boundaries. Next, we analyze the relationship between these markets, whether they are supplier and customer or complementary providers. We also consider how emerging technologies might create new market connections in the future. For example, a car battery manufacturer that supplies electric vehicle or EV makers merges with a gasoline car manufacturer. The battery company doesn't supply to gasoline car makers. They supply to EV manufacturers who compete with gasoline cars. This creates unique competition concerns because the merged company could use its battery supply to disadvantage electric vehicle competitors of its gasoline car business. This forward-looking perspective helps us spot competitive risks that aren't immediately obvious. These mergers can be powerful engines of innovation and efficiency. But like any powerful tool, they need to be handled with care, balancing the promise of benefits with the risk of harm. The benefits. When done right, these mergers can bring big wins for the market. Companies can streamline their operations, share resources more effectively, and coordinate supply chains for faster, more efficient delivery. Bringing together complementary strengths often speeds up innovation, while integrating products can create entirely new value for consumers. On the flip side, there are important risks to watch for. Market foreclosure could block or squeeze out competitors. Some players might lose access to key markets, and higher entry barriers could make it harder for new innovators to break in. If not addressed, these shifts could change the competitive balance, leading to fewer choices and possibly higher prices for consumers. Now that we've seen the overall benefits and risks of non-horizontal mergers, let's look more closely at the different types, starting with vertical mergers. Consider your last online purchase. From the moment you clicked buy to when the package arrived, your order likely passed through multiple companies or a vertically integrated company, each handling a different step. A vertical merger happens when companies at different steps of this journey merge their operations. Vertical mergers involve companies at different levels of the same supply chain. For example, imagine a fried chicken restaurant acquiring a chicken farm. The farm raises chickens and processes it for chicken meat, and the restaurant cooks and serves them to customers. When analyzing vertical mergers, we study market position at both levels. In the upstream market, we assess how much power suppliers have, such as their ability to influence prices or control essential inputs. In the downstream market, we examine how concentrated the market is and how strongly companies compete for customers. One concern is input foreclosure. When the merged company can limit competitors' access to essential products or services. For example, A flour mill merges with a large bakery chain. After the merger, the flour mill might stop selling to other bakeries or only sell at higher prices. Another concern is customer foreclosure. When a powerful buyer cuts off rival suppliers from a large customer base. For instance, a restaurant chain that buys 40% of local chicken supply merges with a poultry farm. After the merger, the chain only uses its own poultry, cutting off other farms from that large customer. We also watch for information advantages, where sensitive data from one part of the merged business could be used to benefit another part unfairly. Example, a payment gateway merges with an online marketplace. The gateway processes transactions for all e-commerce sites, seeing sales volumes, peak times, and best-selling products. Post-merger, the marketplace could use this data to outmaneuver competitors. There's also what we call a diagonal merger. Remember our example of a car manufacturer that makes gasoline vehicles buying a company that produces electric car batteries. They are connecting different parts of the industry, but in a unique way. Diagonal mergers occur when an input supplier merges with a downstream entity that doesn't use their input but competes with that supplier's customers. This can also happen the other way around, when a customer merges with an upstream entity whose products compete with other customers' existing suppliers. Both scenarios can create complex competitive pressures that aren't present in purely vertical or horizontal mergers. Now, imagine a company that makes your favorite fitness tracker merging with a company that creates healthy meal plans. They are not competitors. They're not in the same supply chain, but together, they might create something new. Conglomerate mergers represent complex business combinations where entities from different supply chains join forces. These mergers often involve complementary relationships that take several forms. Commercial complements are products typically sold together, such as airline tickets and baggage allowance. Economic complements represent products consumers naturally use in combination, like shampoo and conditioner. Technical complements are products that need each other to function properly, such as printers and ink cartridges. Conglomerate mergers may also involve entities with completely unrelated products. For example, a fruit wholesaler merging with a clothing retailer. Beyond product relationships, these mergers often involve sharing valuable resources across businesses. Companies might merge distribution networks, leverage their customer bases for new opportunities, or share technological innovations across market segments. This resource sharing can create operational synergies, while also raising important competitive considerations. Our assessment of market power requires a multifaceted analysis approach. We begin by examining market share indicators, which tell an important story about competitive dynamics. Current market position reveals each entity's immediate competitive significance. Historical trends help us understand how market power has evolved over time. Analysis of future competitive significance considers how market shares might change with emerging technologies or shifting consumer preferences. Concentration measures provide another crucial perspective. We carefully examine the pre-merger market structure to establish a baseline understanding of competition. We then analyze post-merger scenarios to anticipate potential changes in market dynamics. Market power indicators help us evaluate whether the merged company might influence prices, quality, or innovation in ways that could affect competition. All of these factors together give us a comprehensive picture of competitive dynamics before and after the merger. Competitive effects analysis for non-horizontal mergers is different from what we saw in horizontal mergers. Instead of unilateral and coordinated effects, the main concerns here include foreclosure, raising rivals' costs, information advantages, and leveraging across markets. First, in vertical mergers, foreclosure effects can occur. Input foreclosure happens when a merged company restricts competitors' access to essential supplies, while customer foreclosure cuts rivals off from important customers. Vertical mergers may also give rise to information advantages, where a merged company gains access to sensitive data it can use to outcompete rivals unfairly. Another concern is raising rivals' costs, where rivals are forced to pay more for inputs or accept lower prices for their outputs after the merger. Vertical mergers can also make coordination easier, since the merged company has visibility across supply chains and can align behavior with competitors. Now, in conglomerate mergers, the risks are different. A key concern is leveraging, using strength in one market to gain an advantage in another. For example, through tying and bundling, the merged company can force customers to buy products together, making it harder for rivals to compete. Self-preferencing happens when a company pushes its own products ahead of others on a platform. Exclusive dealing or refusal to deal can also block competitors from reaching retailers or customers. With predatory pricing or cross-subsidization, a conglomerate may sell cheaply in one market using profits from another, driving rivals out. Finally, conglomerate mergers can lead to entrenchment, building barriers so high that smaller players can't catch up, and even a loss of innovation, as rivals struggle to compete on multiple fronts. All these effects show why non-horizontal mergers need a different competitive analysis from horizontal ones. As we have explored today, non-horizontal mergers can take many forms, from vertical and diagonal to conglomerate, each with unique dynamics and potential impacts on competition. They require careful, case-by-case analysis to ensure that the benefits, like efficiency, innovation, and better products, are not outweighed by potential harms, like foreclosure and leveraging market power, which ultimately affect consumer choice. Through a balanced approach to merger review, the PCC supports business growth and innovation while protecting the competitive markets that ensure fair prices, better quality, and more choices for consumers.